Hi, welcome to Tony Sora's Pottery Channel. I am going to show you today 3 of my best ways for drying clay. One is using this screen. I believe it's 1/8 inch mesh. You can use chicken wire if you want to. Pretty simple way. Another is going to be a plaster bowl. This is casting plaster or just 20-minute casting plaster is all it is. They call it plaster of Paris. Been using this thing for a long time for making small amounts of clay. It works really well. And a third method I'll show you in just a little bit. So this is my clay. It's pretty much pure clay. I'm adding my timber, which in this case I'm using sand. It's a dune sand, so it's a blow sand. Decomposed granite. There's a little bit of mica and stuff in it, but feldspar, who knows, I don't know, whatever blows in the wind. But I'm just going through one of these spaghetti sifters, or spaghetti strainers I should say. You can find them sometimes at the dollar store, but they work great. They span the trash can. I put about three of those full of sand inside this clay mix, and then just turn it with the drill. And it gives it enough temper to make it a lot easier to work with. Otherwise it's just too pure and really tough to work with. It'll fight you all the way. If you get too much sand, then it's a little soft and doesn't have the tensile strength. Blend this up. It feels about right. So I always mix my sand or grog or whatever into the liquid clay after it's been strained. It just works better that way for me. So this is just made with 2x4s and some wire mesh. You can use chicken wire, kind of keeping it elevated a little bit off the ground so the air can get in there and dry the clay. And I'm going to use the old bed sheet, another thrift store buy. They're about $1 a piece, so not too expensive. If you want to make a lot of clay, this is the way to do it. And form a little trough or a nest in there. And I'm going to triple it up, so this will be 3 pieces of cloth. Make sure that the clay doesn't go running through the trough there. And just pour it in. Probably get about, I don't know, 60 or 70 pounds of clay out of this one trough. So you can see the clay is not super watery, but it is, you know, it's kind of a thickwood. Thickwood is what it is. Nice thick liquid. Over here, I've poured the clay into this plaster trough. I'm going to cover this with a piece of cloth and anchor it. Come back tomorrow evening. It should be ready. And this will probably take, I don't know, 2 or 3 days. Maybe it'll be ready tomorrow. It is going to be 109, I think, again tomorrow. And the only thing I like to make sure I do is cover it. That way the top doesn't dry out and get all cracked up before the bottom dries. So I want to make sure it's fairly secure. But this allows that moisture to kind of seep out, and then the air to get underneath and pull that moisture out of the clay. And it works real well. And I'll show you one more method for sandy environments. Okay, so what I've got here is just a shallow depression in the sand, so it's a little, like a little bathtub here. Fairly sandy, not too compact. You could do this on gravel. I'm gonna just cover it up with another sheet. Pour off the clay into it. I think this is about a 2.5 gallon bucket. You can make this a giant operation if you want, but I'll just do a little bit here for show and tell. I'll cover it up. Probably best if you cover it with a piece of plywood so that the surface doesn't dry out real fast if the sun is shining on it. If you're in the shade, you should be all right. I'll just cover it with the sheet this time, but that's kind of how I make most of my clay. One of these three ways. All right, we are day 2, and I got the clay that has been drying here in the ground, and it looks like it's ready to go. So it spent about 36 hours. It's just a little soft, but sometimes these edges will dry out quick too. So, but less than 48 hours, you got a nice big chunk of clay to work with. I'll go check the other forms real quick. Here's the plaster of Paris, and it's ready to go. A little bit of sand didn't mix all the way, but all this has to be wedged anyways. You see some of the salts coming up on the edges here. Pretty salty clay. I'm gonna do a video on how to get salt out of your clay. All right, and this stuff is still quite wet, although there was a whole lot more clay poured into that. But we'll give it another day or two and check on it. It should be ready, so there's probably a good 65-70 pounds of clay in there. I'm Tony Soares, and this is how I make my clay.